You're listening to the Sasha Davis Podcast, a show about overcoming fear and manifesting your dream life. Each week, we'll dive deep into real stories and tangible advice about spirituality, law of attraction, mindset, and money so that you can be your happiest, healthiest, and most abundant self. You ready? Here we go. Have you ever been at a place in your life where things just feel off? I feel like that's me this last week. And hopefully you guys can relate to this. I just want to share my personal experience in hopes that it can inspire somebody else, right? Because I think I have a squeaky chair, so we're just gonna have to deal with it. I think we get so wrapped up in what society, like me, I'm always like comparing myself. Not so much now as I used to, but I remember the old me, I would just compare myself to everything. Like, oh, I'll be happy if I have these things, or I'll be happy when this happens. I'll be happy when this. I'll be happy when this. And it's like this constant search for happiness. But happiness comes from within. I know that's like the most cliche thing to say. That's like the worst thing that you want to hear when you're experiencing like pain and frustration and anger. And you hear people say, oh, just be happy. It almost like triggers you to say, fuck off. At least for me, it does. But then I have to sit back and remember that, yes, my happiness has to come from within. And it's never going to happen when I get to some magical place. That's why we're always seeking contentment in what's next. And you'll continue to seek contentment and happiness in what's next until you can find happiness and contentment within yourself right here, right now. And this, I feel, is a lesson that I'm always learning. It's just like, sometimes I get it. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about, because there's sometimes where you just feel good and you're like, this is it. I get it. This is exactly what I'm after. And then all of a sudden something throws you off and you're like, fuck, how do I get back to this place? How do I get back to that happy, healthy me? And this is where habits come in. This is where mindset comes in. This is where you have to really have a level of awareness in yourself to say, hey, this isn't working. I need to ask for help, or I need to kick myself in the ass. And this last week in the Manifesting Mastermind, I've done a lot of ass kicking for women in the group, but then I've also had to kick my ass a lot, you guys. And I feel like there's value in that. I think me personally, I love to be right there with the people who are doing the thing. I appreciate the experts. I even consider myself an expert now, which is an interesting journey because a lot of us feel imposter syndrome, or like we're not good enough, or somebody else is already doing it. But you're the expert of your life. So why not call yourself an expert? And it's taken me a lot of years to understand that there's nothing wrong with the word expert. There's not. You can call yourself an expert in anything, but I think experience and research and proving yourself what you're capable of makes you an expert, right? And, I've been practicing and teaching the law of attraction and manifestation in some capacity for damn near 15 years. But if somebody would have said, oh, teach me things about the law of attraction, I would have been like, oh, no, you need to go to this person, or, oh, you need to go to this person. They're the expert. But then they would come back and they'd be like, well, I learned more from you than I did that person. I'm like, oh, shit, maybe I am an expert. But you have to challenge those beliefs that come up in thinking that you're not good enough, right? And so again, this is where it's leading back to finding that happiness and contentment within, because I was always saying to myself, oh, if I just get one more certification, oh, if I just finish one more class, oh, if I just read one more book, oh, if I just do one more thing, then I'll be worthy, and then I'll be happy, and then I can celebrate. It's a vicious cycle. And I want to stop you and say, what if this is it? Like, not to like freak you out, but what if this is it? You're not guaranteed tomorrow. So can you be okay with where you're at now and still strive for more? I find that the journey is so much more pleasant if we find happiness and joy in the here and the now, and then continue that into the next day. Every day we have a choice. Every day we can be 1% better, we can be 1% worse. And over the course of several days, weeks, and years, you can make a hell of a lot of difference in your life and other people's lives, depending on which route you choose, right? So, what do you choose today? Can you choose happiness? And sometimes that can be really hard. Like for me, for example, today I had to really dive deep. This last week I've had to dive deep. I think I've cried more in this last week than I have in a long time. I had a couple of hypnotherapy sessions, fucking bawled my eyes out. It was just but I'm shedding all these layers, personally and professionally, trying to step into this new version of me, newer version. Every year you have a new improved version of yourself, or a new less improved version of yourself, whichever route you choose. But I have some of the biggest, scariest dreams that I know will happen. I know they will happen, you guys. I have no doubts. It's all the doubts that, come up who am I? But I know that I'll still make these things happen. Why? Because I've never failed in my life. Okay, I've failed a million times, but I just keep getting back up. I just keep trying. If somebody tells me no, I keep going until they say a yes. And if one thing doesn't work anymore, I say, okay, I'm going to go try this thing now. And sometimes it's a kick in the ass. It's not always something I want to hear. Like this last Friday, I got some really, shitty news about some professional stuff, some work stuff. I'm like, sweet. Okay. How can I turn this around? But also validating how I feel, because I felt very brokenhearted. I felt very torn. I felt really sad. But at the same time, it was okay, I know that needed to happen, and it's somebody else ripped the Band-Aid off for me. So here we go. Let's step into what this is becoming. And it's not always easy. I feel like social media paints you this picture that transformation is, it's so beautiful, it's glorious, and you're going to be this beautiful butterfly on the other side. And while you are a beautiful butterfly, the journey to get there is slow and painful. And I have yet to find a, easy button to get from point A to point B. The easiest button that I have found is lots and lots and lots of meditation, really becoming at home with yourself, reading books, expanding your mind, looking into spiritual practices. The more I look into spiritual stuff, the more I get out of my own head and into the world and the universe and put everything into perspective, right? I'm just this small town girl on this acreage in Iowa, on this beautiful, amazing planet that is full of birds and bees and whales and trees and other incredible human beings. And you just got to get out of your own head sometimes. And I think practicing spirituality in some way, shape, or form kind of helps you realize that there is a higher power, there is a higher source, there is a higher God that, helps guide us and loves us and protects us, and has really created this find words are hard for me today. This incredible place for us to be on. And then it hurts my heart that I see so many people who are destroying themselves, destroying the planet, destroying our communities. And it makes me want to try that much harder, and that's what keeps me going. A lot of times I have to get out of my own head, and that's what keeps me going, because this shit is hard. And if I was just doing it for me, I just don't know if I would do it, guys. I'm sorry, but I just don't know if I could. I live to see results and happiness on other people, and that's what makes me happy, and that's what keeps me going, and that's what helps me find happiness within, knowing that all of this, quote unquote hard work that I'm doing for myself is also helping the next generation. So the stories that I'm working on and healing will hopefully not be an issue for my daughter, because I will be able to support her through that journey. and my son, and for you guys. Like, I wouldn't be here today had I not done my own healing journey, and you guys wouldn't be listening to this right now. And you wouldn't be starting your own healing journey. And then in your family, you start your healing journey. And so it goes on and on and on. And I know it sounds very worldly, but I feel like if we all come together to heal ourselves, heal our wounds, and really put our best foot forward to make happier, healthier choices for ourselves and our neighbors and our planet, that this could be a really cool place. We wouldn't have like the crime we have. We wouldn't have all this processed shit. We wouldn't have corruption. We wouldn't have these insane people in power who are leading this broken system. And I don't mean, again, to get all worldly. I know, I can get off on my rants. But I want you guys to really just sit with, are you okay with where you're at? And if not, how can you find happiness in the moment now? And so this is where we have to go a little bit more general sometimes, because if you're not happy with your job, if you're not happy with your house, if you're not happy with your car or your family life or your spouse or your money, I get it. I've been there. I used to hate my hair and my face and my body, and I used to hate money. I hated my job. I hated my car. I was so full of anger and hate. And guess what? I just manifested more anger and hate to the point where I really had a drinking problem. I numbed everything out with either food, alcohol, or, cigarettes or whatever else I could get my hands on, and that's no way to live. It's no way to live. It's not. So I had to go more general. Like, what makes me happy now? Being in nature makes me happy. Watching funny videos makes me happy. Having a calm, peaceful morning makes me happy. Laughing with friends makes me happy. Coffee makes me happy. Reading books makes me happy. Traveling makes me happy. Snowboarding makes me happy. Motorcycles make me happy. And so I would just have to look around and be like, what do I have right now that could make me feel that sense of happiness? And if you can't physically experience it right now, then visually experience it right now. And this is why visualization is so, so, so powerful, because you can actually trick your mind into feeling that way right now. And it's not even really a trick. It's just time doesn't really exist when you tune inward into that meditative state and really visualize how you want to feel. If I were to ask you to go back to the 5-year-old version of yourself, I could guide you through like an age regression, basically, and have you talk to that 5-year-old version of yourself, say something, traumatic happened. You will likely feel those emotions right then, right there. It's transporting you back in time to feel the things. You don't have to physically be there to feel it. And so this is why feelings are so important. And when you can tune into your happiness and your contentness and your joy, you raise your vibration, you raise your frequency. And when you raise your frequency and vibration, you call in more things that vibrate at that level of joy. So let me ask you this. If you're at a level of anger, hate, resentment, and you're like, I want this thing, I want this thing, and I want this thing now because my life sucks. What do you think is going to happen in your life? The universe is going to be like, oh yeah, here you go, spoiled child. You can have everything you want. No, it's going to give you a big old lump of coal. You'll probably get a flat tire. You'll probably get some overdraft fees in your bank account. Something will probably break. Somebody will probably call you and bitch you out for something that you have no idea about. But if you're at a place of like, man, I just love my life. Like, I know things could be better, but I'm just really happy with where things are at. And I am so excited to see what's next. Everything that's in my life is here because I wanted it to be, because I asked it to be, because I take full responsibility for who I am and the life that I create. I am the creator of my reality. I love me. I love being happy. I don't need anything to be happy. But if I had it, it would make me even happier. But I really just love being me, and I love experiencing life, and I love being outside, and I love my friends, and I love my family. I love my morning routine. I love my job, but I know that there's a better job out there for me. But right where I'm at, I really just love where I'm at. What do you think you're going to get? The universe is going to be like, wow, she's really appreciative. Let's give her more things. Just like if you go out to dinner and you're nice to your waiter or your waitress, she's like, oh, let me take care of that for you. Oh, let me take care of that for you. And then it's a win-win. You give her a big fat tip, she's happy, she gives you some freebies, da 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 da. But if you go in and you guys are angry and bitter to each other, you're calling over the manager and you're pissed off and you're like, this person sucks. You don't leave her a tip. She probably slashes your tire. You see what I'm saying here? So how can you find happiness within now? Not later, now. Sometimes if we just sit with our own thoughts and say, what does happiness feel like? What does happiness feel like? A lot of us don't give ourselves the opportunity to feel happy. We've numbed down all the emotions that we just don't even really know what joy feels like anymore. So ask yourself this: what does joy feel like? What does happiness feel like? And what would that look like in your life right now? If you think, okay, this is where I'm at, this is where I want to be, and I know I'm going to get there, but I have to get happy where I'm at now in order to get there quicker. What would I need to do? What do I need to do right now? And you want to do the first thing that comes to mind. First thing, don't overthink it. If your body's like, let's go for a walk outside, I want you to find the time to go do that. Or if your body's like, I want a really fancy cup of coffee, I want you to find a way to go do that. Or if you're like, I want to call this person, I want to get this book, I want to read, I want to do this. Go do that thing. This is listening to your gut, listening to your intuition, listening to God, source, higher power, whatever you want to call it. But when you can follow that more of the time, it's going to lead you on a path of so much happiness and joy that you're going to be like, how the hell did I not come here sooner? Why didn't I listen to myself before? But this is what happens. This is what happens when we get stuck in a rut. This is what happens when we let our monkey mind take over. This is what happens when we let other people's opinions alter how we think, act, and feel about ourselves and our own happiness. So shut out that noise and ask yourself, what does joy feel like? Don't do it right now if you're driving, but when you get a moment, sit, take 3 deep breaths, in through the nose, out through the nose. Make sure they're deep belly breaths, cleansing belly breaths, not that chest breathing. Chest breathing is stress breathing. And then just ask yourself, one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, what does joy feel like? When was the last time I truly felt joy? How can I cultivate more joy in my life right now? And that's it. You can choose joy. So I'm that person telling you it can be that easy. It's humans, it's our monkey mind that overcomplicates it. So get out of your own head, get out of your own way, and go find your happiness. Have you ever wanted to escape the chaos of your everyday life? Drop all of the labels and just be yourself? If so, I have the perfect opportunity for you to do just that. This spring, we will be hosting another 4-day mind, body, spirit, all-inclusive retreat in the Black Hills, South Dakota. Limited spots are available, so head on over to sashadavis.com to secure your spot today. We hope to see you in the Black Hills.